Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Gage Sims, and I have the honor of being the 2021 class valedictorian. I'm sorry that we can't all be here together, but I hope that you're still enjoying this special day with your friends and family. Although at this point, I guess that we're all pretty used to watching things at home and partaking in events like this remotely. And I'm sure for some of you, this is probably better than going to a place in person, putting on a gown, walking across a stage to accept a diploma in front of an auditorium full of people you don't know. I've been in Achievement House Cyber School since I was in 7th grade. My mom decided to send me here after getting into an argument with my homeschool because their system for scheduling classes was based around extracurricular activities like chorus, which routinely pulled kids out of class to get extra practice in. That year, going into 7th grade, they couldn't find a class that worked for me, and they wanted to just put me in the class that was redoing all of the material I had learned the previous year. I'd done that class and I was ready to move on, but their extracurricular activity schedule was more important to them. So that was the option I was given. And on top of that, all of my previous classmates were moving on without me. So it wasn't like I was even sticking with my friends and doing something for the social aspect. My mom made the decision after seeing that there was no compromise to be made and decided that I was going to come to the cyber school. I learned that I was going to leave for cyber school about 2 days before I started. I told some people at my brick and mortar school, and the teachers were worried about what was going to happen. They thought that the education wasn't as good, I wouldn't have any friends, but both of these turned out to be not true. On my first day of school, I remember waking up way later than I ever could at brick and mortar because it started so early because of my bus ride. So just kind of sat around, didn't do a whole lot, and made myself some oatmeal to take up time in the day. I finished Launchpad and I started classes the next week. And before I had done all of that, my mom went over some basic rules that I had to follow. I had to go to live class, I had to get my schoolwork done when it was due, and all of my schoolwork that was submitted, I had to read the feedback on it and redo anything that wasn't good enough. So I thought there was some wiggle room and I wasn't too great at following those. And pretty early on, I struggled with things and missed a class. But about 5 minutes after it started, I remember getting a text from my mom asking me if I was in the class when she had never asked me something like that before. So it was pretty clear that she knew I wasn't, but was trying to be courteous about how she was asking it. And for the first 2 years, I struggled with cyber school and the environment, and it wasn't easy for me to get on a schedule. Back in traditional school, I had worked out a system that worked for me. On my hour-long bus ride to and from school, I would do my work then, and when I got home, it was just free time. And teachers were pretty good with in person, like forcing you to do stuff. When you go to school, you have to do work. In cyber school, it's a lot different. I just had a list of things I needed to get done. I wasn't physically somewhere where they were like making me do it instead of just goofing around and wasting time. And I was in charge of making my schedule and getting everything done. My 7th grade year was pretty difficult. I remember a few Friday nights where I would stay up with my mom and we would work. Well, she would just sit there with me doing her own stuff, and I would work on my assignments just to give me some sort of structure to get things done. But eventually, after being at cyber school for a while, I got used to something, and I feel like I did better than I ever did in brick and mortar. A good example of this was my proficiency in English. Before coming to cyber school, it was always my worst subject. I couldn't stand writing anything. English class was always the thing I least looked forward to, and I was sure that English just wasn't meant for me. But in cyber school, with the feedback I got and the help I received from my English teachers, I feel like it's now a subject that I'm strong in, and I'm at a place where I never thought I would be before. I want to give a special shout out to Mr. French, Ms. Longnecker, and Mrs. Riegard, who were the ones that really pushed me and gave me feedback that helped me improve my skills and made English one of my favorite subjects. Another difference I noted in cyber school compared to brick and mortar is how the teachers respond to questions. In my last year of brick and mortar school, I had a teacher who would get upset if anyone asked any kind of question. They thought that it meant the students weren't listening, that they didn't care, and if you asked a question, you were pretty much already in trouble. So when I came to cyber school and when I was in a class with a classmate who kept asking questions, I was surprised at how it was handled. The teacher, who was Mr. Flick, seemed happy to get questions. He was always engaged and responded to them in a way that, although I didn't have the same questions, I still feel like I learned a lot from the way he responded and how he clarified things. And it was a completely different experience from what I had seen in brick and mortar. So one of the other issues that I struggled with when I was coming to cyber school was connecting with people and finding friends. And that was another thing I struggled with. It's easy to just get your work done for cyber school and then do your own things and not have that social interaction. But eventually, I was convinced to join the esports club back when it was started, and Mr. Flick recommended me for it. First, I didn't really want to. That wasn't something that I was interested in, but he knew me and he thought that I would be a good fit for it, so I decided it was worth a shot. I met a couple people that I'm still really good friends with now, and it completely changed the way that I see how friends can be made in a cyber environment. Eventually, I even went on to meet these people, and we did stuff in person, and I had an experience that I had never gotten in brick and mortar. Now, with the high school year being over and us graduating, it's still hard to believe that so much time has passed and we're all ready to move on. But looking back on it, I can see all the ways that Achievement House has prepared us for moving on and things that we've learned. Reading and responding to feedback, advocating for ourselves, asking for help, being responsible, all things that I got a different perspective on from Achievement House and taught me good cyber skills that I don't think I could have gotten in a brick and mortar. I didn't know how to write an email. I didn't know how to take feedback from assignments and redo it. Whatever I submitted on my rough draft was what I was going to submit in my final draft. And I feel really privileged to have this kind of experience and to have grown as much as I have in the school. Our graduation isn't just about the accomplishments we've made so far, it's about the teachers, the mentors, the guidance counselors, the parents, family members, and friends, all of the people along us on this journey. Our success wasn't done alone. It was because of all the times that the parents checked in to see if our work was getting done, the mentors sending us 1,000 Schoology messages over and over, checking in, making sure we're on schedule, making sure everything was fine, and the teachers who were there in class answering questions, giving us feedback on our work, and making sure that every student got the best chance possible to succeed. And now I'd like to introduce the graduating class of 2021.